All right, welcome back to the Ottawa Studios Inside My Canoeette. I'm your host, Dr. D. Today, we are going to talk about living at the edge of your comfort zone. Why your life, all the cool stuff, only begins when you push out of a sense of certainty. So sit back, grab yourself your favorite beverage. Let's get at her. All right, thanks again for joining us, and we appreciate all your feedback that comes back. We got a lot of wonderful feedback on last week's episode on minimalism and simplicity, talking about the difference of those, introducing Greg McEwen's idea of essentialism, and a whole bunch of individual concepts that some people found quite helpful and some people did not. And I encourage you on all of our shorts, because we take this YouTube video and we cut it into 30, 40, maybe 50 different shorts, and we put them up throughout the next week across all our social media platforms, across TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and to some degree Twitter, X if you will. And our whole idea is to engage and to start conversations. What we're trying to do is create the space where we can put challenging ideas out there and people can bite back. A good bite, a bad bite, whatever it may be, and to start having those important but sometimes difficult conversations about the world around us, right? You choose the location you live. Unless, of course, you live in a country that doesn't allow you to leave, or you're forced against your will at gunpoint or something, you can choose where you live. You can choose what you do with your life, and you can choose what physical possessions you own. Those are all within your responsibility, and they're within your ability to change. What you do for a living, you can change that, whatever it is you choose to do to earn an income. Is it easy? No. Is it difficult in today's times? Yeah, absolutely. But all of these things are within your control. So one of the big points that came out of last week's video that people really zeroed in on is the idea and the concept of outside of the hours that you have to work, whatever that may be, 40, 50, 60 hours a week, whatever you work. Outside of that area, it's all within your control. You decide what you spend your time on. You decide what you commit your limited resources to. And it should bring you joy, right? Why are you doing things that you don't like? Why are you doing things that occupy time that you would rather be out doing something else, right? The question is, and linked to today's topic, of living at the edge of your comfort zone. Now, we go back anthropologically hundreds and if not thousands of years. There were only two classes of human beings. There were your nobility class. They were the people at the top, the kings, the lords, whatever you call them in your different societies around the world. And then there were the peasants, people focused on daily survival. The two ends of the spectrum. There was nobody in the middle. The middle class is a modern industrial invention designed to give you some idea that you're living a healthy, happy life in exchange for indentured servitude for the hourly wage. So the middle class is something that, 200 years ago didn't exist. And it didn't exist in a lot of economies around the world until the last 10 or 15 years. China never had a middle class until the 1980s, maybe not even the 1990s really, until even an emerging middle class started in their society. So it's not new. It is new. It's not old. It's not something we've had for thousands of years. So people were on the daily survival, or they were at the very top of the food chain, right? So the people down here at the bottom literally had to do what was necessary to survive, right? There wasn't a lot of these existential conversations around their beer over a Saturday night at the pub wondering what they're going to do for the rest of the weekend. That didn't exist. It was about daily survival. So you ask yourself, why does this matter? Well, in today's world, you live a comfortable life. The vast majority of us, and as their generations go through, especially since the 1970s, 1980s, until the 2020s, we're a generation of people that like to be coddled. We like to be taken care of. We want the benevolent government to pay our bills and take care of things when the bad day happens, right? We've evolved from a group of people in the boomer or the silent generation, really, which was the boomers' parents, that really were self-reliant, self-sufficient, and were able to get things done on their own. And they wouldn't even think of looking to the government to solve their problems for them. They would solve them. And now we have a generation way at the other end of the generation beta who are growing up in a world or being born into a world where it's nothing but benevolent government taking care of us. And so we get quelled into this sense of security, this sense of safety, of live a nice, comfortable, well-controlled, well-managed life where you don't take any risks, you mitigate your risks, it's safe, it's comfortable, you earn your money, you do things, you doom scroll all night, and life is good. And most people never live. The old saying is, you have two lives. Everybody has two lives, and they find about the second one once they realize they're on their first, or something like that. That's a really bad quote. I'll cut that out. People realize that life is short, often too late to remember anything about it. People live these comfortable lives. They do what they're supposed to. They do what society expects of them. They follow the protocol. You graduate high school, you go into trade school, you go into university, you get your degree, you put out your CVs, you get your entry-level job, you work your way up for the mailroom. All of these standard things that used to be part of an American dream that existed in the 1960s and 1970s doesn't exist now, but you have a whole population trying to relive an American dream of the grandparents when that economic system that allowed that to happen doesn't exist anymore. Like, you can't have the white picket fence, work for a company for 40 years, and get a defined benefit pension plan. That doesn't exist because the economy that allowed that to exist doesn't exist anymore. Now, we can argue whether it should or not, whether you live in a normative or positive world, but the point being is people want to live in this nice, comfortable world. And in today's opportunity, when we look at what's available to you, it's shocking the number of people that don't. And some of the best research studies that are out there on the regrets of the dying are very clear. It is laser focused. The number one regret of the dying is that they never lived the life that they wanted to. They lived the life that everybody told what they were supposed to do. You're supposed to do this. You're supposed to get married. You're supposed to have 3.2 kids. You're supposed to have a single house. Owning a home and having a mortgage and then paying off the mortgage was what you were supposed to be. That's what you were supposed to do. So everybody followed in like little lemmings and did everything they were supposed to. But when you look at the studies, and these studies are decades long, looking at thousands of hospice patients at the very last days or weeks of their lives and reflecting, if you follow the life of comfort, regret is your destiny. If you follow a life of comfort, regret will be your destiny. When you get to the end, the evidence is clear. You will look in the mirror and you'll start wishing you would have done things differently. Now, this doesn't mean simplicity and minimalism last week means sell everything, quit everything, and go running around like a nomad. It means understanding where your comfort zone is. Each and every one of us are going to have a different edge of the comfort zone. Everybody has a different risk tolerance, right? There are some people who want to go out on a mixed weather day and they're going to bring the rain jacket, they're going to bring the umbrella, they're going to bring all of the things that just in case something happens. And the other people are going, yeah, the odds of it are 30%. I'm willing to play those odds. And they don't bring a rain jacket. If they get wet, they laugh. Two different types of people, very same situation. You have to figure out where your edge of the comfort zone is. Where do you start feeling uncomfortable about your surroundings or the activities? Adventure, the sense of life. It begins on the other hand. Now, this is not go out and do a whole bunch of things willy-nilly, as my grandparents would say. It's about doing things methodically and planning them, but doing things that make you feel uncomfortable. And for this example all the time, I use backcountry paddling. You can see the poster over my head there. You can see the tattoo that's on my arm. I've been backcountry paddling for some 40 years. I absolutely love it. To be out in nature with just the tools and equipment that you brought with you, away from ambient noise. And I remember one story I told one day about the thunderous sound of the leaves. I don't know if you've ever been in a place, but when you sit down in nature quiet in the fall and the leaves are falling, it does make a thunderous sound that is super loud when you're actually out in the woods. It's incredible. But when you think about going backcountry paddling, some people would say, okay, I'll go on a guided trip the first time. I'll go with 10 other people. And then maybe I'll go with a group of 6 or 8 people. Think about going out on your own. Think about going on a solo canoe trip on your own into the backcountry, having to portage a couple of lakes back, knowing that you're likely at least a kilometer or call it a mile or a kilometer away from the next human being. You have no cell service. All you have is that inReach that's over my shoulder in case of emergencies. But other than that, you're out of contact with humanity. People can't text you. You're on your own and you have to do everything yourself. If something bad happens, you got to take care of it. If you flip your canoe, you got to rescue yourself. If you're cold and wet, you got to get yourself warm. If you're caught in the middle of a horrible storm, you got to figure navigate. If you get an unwanted big hairy visitor in your campsite, you got to figure out how to deal with that. That is the edge. That is far past some people's comfort zone. And the benefit of being bold enough to push yourself past the edge of that comfort zone is you're going to realize how incredibly capable you are. It's amazing the level of skills you already have and the level of risk tolerance that you have that you've just never tested because you've always stayed 1 foot inside that comfort line. Every time the world presented an opportunity for you to do something new and innovative and a little bit risky, you took a step back. You overthought it. You overplanned it. You overconsidered all of the things that might happen, and you broke it down into this incredibly wonderful little safe evolution and endeavor that didn't cause anybody risk, didn't cause anybody harm, etc. You don't push yourself past your comfort zone into areas of uncomfortableness, managed uncomfortableness, where you start to realize, hey, you know what? I'm pretty physically tough. I'm pretty mentally tough. It is so cool to be out here. You know, all of the top podcasters, all the top people that talk about mental health and people that talk about motivation and discipline, they all talk about life begins at the end of the comfort zone. And they're so true, whether that's in your job, whether that's in your your community service, whether it's in your personal learning, whether it's in your relationships. You know, you've got an idea, you want to be an entrepreneur. Maybe you want to be an entrepreneur, maybe you want to start a business. Quitting your well-paying job right now and jumping in with 2 feet with nothing more than your savings and your personal belief in yourself. If you look at yourself in the mirror right now, the vast majority of you right now are probably going to say, no, you wouldn't do that. It's uncomfortable. It's uncertain. I have bills to pay. I have a mortgage and car payments. I have kids' university to save for. How could I be so crazy to do that, right? Conformity. Keep you in line. Keep you doing all of the things, right? I had this conversation. It's a YouTube video that I'm going to be putting together in a little bit, aimed at the 18-year-old. You really have 3 choices, right? To earn an income in a Western capitalistic society, you have 3 options. One is you can decide to join a profession. So it's a nurse, a doctor, a lawyer, an electrician, a plumber, a hairstylist, a massage therapist, some formal profession that's codified in law that has a set of educational requirements, a set of testing, and a set of regulatory body. You have no choice. That's the only path available to you. To be an electrician, you have to follow this. You have to be an apprentice for 4 years. You have to do so many hours, pass these exams, etc. That's a profession. Your other option is to become an entrepreneur, which means you're going to create a company out of thin air, and then you're going to look around and find a problem that society has, a real problem, a real pain that society is experiencing, and you're going to create a product or system that's going to solve it for it. You're going to create a grand slam offer, in the words of Alex Hormozi, and then you're going to sell it to them. Your third option, if you don't do one of those two, if you choose to not join a profession and you choose to not be an entrepreneur, the only thing you left is indentured servitude, which for all intents and purposes in today's capitalistic world is you're going to trade your time for money. So you're going to, with your skill set, and as your skill sets go up and your experience goes up, the amount you can charge per hour goes up. But that's essentially what you're doing. You're trading your time for money. Those are your only three options out there. Are you willing to be bold and push it? Are you willing to believe in yourself to jump into a profession that you know nothing about, but it's what you want to do? Are you willing to say, you know what? I'm willing to get 3 other people and the 4 of us are going to rent a bachelor apartment in the run and down part of the city. We're going to walk to work. We're going to work a couple hours a week just to pay our bills. And we're going to pour in 80 hours a week on our entrepreneurial. The 4 of us are going to have 4 single beds in a tiny 1-room bachelor apartment because we're real and we're dreamers and we're going to go after it. Or you're going to find some hourly job and you're going to trade your time for it. It's a bold move when you decide to do something big. And you're going to find a lot of people along the way are detractors. A lot of people are going to tell you, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't do that. We expected you to do this. This is what we had laid out for you. And I'll be honest with you, I've got 2 incredible sons in their 20s. Wonderful young men. Fabulous. Proud as hell of them. They're wonderful kids. But they're not me. Right? That's something that took me a while to learn and to figure out, that your kids are not you. And the pathway you took was the path that made sense for you. And if your kids choose a different path, they're not failing. They're not failing to meet something. They're not living up to your standards. They're living their lives and following the path that's best for them that they want. And it's different from you. But you'll get a lot of people that will try to tell you what you're doing is crazy. What you're doing doesn't make any sense. What you're doing isn't what you're supposed to do. That's my favorite phrase you hear all the time. But you're supposed to do this upon graduation from high school. You're supposed to do that. For example, my oldest son said he didn't think university was for him. I said, how do you know? You've never been. So here's the deal. Go to university 1 year, take your courses, be a big kid, pass the courses whether you like them or not. And at the end of the year, if you decide it's not for you, then don't go back. And he did. He went, he passed the courses, and he said, Dad, this is not my gig. So then he went out and took a 1.5 gap year, worked full time, and then figured out what he wanted to do. And now he joined the army. Everybody's different. But following that path that you set is going to rustle a lot of feathers. Having the confidence in yourself, getting outside of your comfort zone. Because if you stay in your comfort zone and you just do what everybody tells you to do, and you just do what everybody thinks you should do, you're going to end up with regret. You're going to live that life of certainty. And at the end, and when you're in your 80s or 90s and you're in your hospice care, you're going to have a life of regret. You're going to be sitting there, I wish I would have done this. I wish I would have lived my life the way I want to. Especially in today's transformative world with artificial intelligence, whether or not it lives up to the hype and to the extent that people think it will be. Not my area of expertise, but it will be exceptionally impactful on how we operate, how we do business, and how we run our societies. That's going to be different. Do you seize that opportunity? Do you become part of that transformation? Do you do something new? Or do you tick along comfortably in a job or in an income stream or in a profession that you know is going to be absolutely crushed by AI, right? There's a lot of people out there that are going to stay in their comfort zone. You know, I do research analytics for a large firm. It's what I've done for 10 years. It's what I like to do. AI is going to do it 100%, and my job will likely be gone in 2 years. But I'm going to stay until I get fired because this is what I like to do. That's somebody who's going to be in a big game of hurt in 12 months, etc. Comfort zone is knowing that, hey, I like the job I'm in, but guess what? Everybody leaves their current job. You either get fired, you die, you quit, or you retire, right? Everybody's going to leave the job. So what's your plan when you leave the job? We talk about this way back episodes when we talk about our trifecta of preparedness plans that everybody should have is, what's your job when you get fired? And that's all about having a plan so that when you walk in and HR fires you tomorrow, or HR gets you a Zoom meeting at 8 o'clock on a Friday morning and tell you you're terminated, you know exactly. Of course, you're going to have your 24-hour pity party and your cry fest, and then you're going to get up the next day and you're going to execute your plan. If you turn that around to say, if I got fired, not what would I do to necessarily earn an income, what do I want it to be? If I had to write this next chapter of my life, what do I want it to be? What do I really want to be doing? Where do I want to be? What tasks do I want to be after? Where do I want to live? What friends do I want to have? What leisure do I... When you look at it and say, you have the opportunity to decide, what do I want it to be the next time around? And I keep looking up because it's on my whiteboard over here in a big circle. What do I want it to be? As a reminder to myself that nobody's coming to save me. It's nobody's job but mine to change part of my life if I'm not happy. If there's something I want to do, nobody's going to come and enroll me in it and put me in it. That's 100% up to me. So if I choose not to do it, it's obviously not somebody else's fault. Remember, absolutely everything in your life is your fault. Whether you're successful or whether you're a failure, everything in your life is your fault. Once you accept that, you realize, hey, I could do that, right? I could put together, maybe it'll take me a year or two to save the money, but I'm going to go do that thing I've wanted to do, right? I'm going to save up the $10,000 it costs over the next 2 or 3 years because I want to go to Kilimanjaro. I want to walk up Kilimanjaro, or I want to go to Machu Picchu, or I want to go to the pyramids of Giza, or I want to, go on a wild safari in Africa. Whatever it is that you might want to do as an adventurous thing, there's nothing stopping you from doing it but you. Where's that comfort zone? Where is your edge of your comfort zone in life? Where are you willing to push through to be able to chase your dreams and go after the things you want? To get outside that nice, comfy, warm life that we all live, and to get out and get after it. And a lot of the whether it's a Chris Williamson or a David Goggins or any of the big people, Alex Hormozy, and these guys are all say that to be successful in today's generation, you really don't have to do much. Because everybody is so enamored with the benevolent government coddling them and taking care of them and handing them a little bit of money when bad days come, that people become dependent on that kind of it. I've referred to it as becoming a dependosaurus, a new animal in the modern world. But if you want to really succeed, you don't have to do much, because the vast majority of the world is just happy in their little comfy zone. All you have to do is step outside that. All you have to do is take some calculated risks. All you have to do is believe in yourself. And guess what? There is an incredible amount of stuff that you can achieve. And when I mean achieve your goals. I'm not talking about being a millionaire. I'm not talking to, an 8, 9, 10 figure company. No. I'm talking about whatever it is that really cool, awesome dream of yours is, achieving it. It's right there. The start line for your dream is one step over that comfort zone. And everybody's comfort zone is different. You figure out where that comfort is, and you figure out what that first step entails to put you in a state of uncomfortableness. So really the intent of all of this is, if you start linking together the different episodes that we're putting out here, we've got a plan. I love backcountry canoeing. I like putting myself in calculated, risky positions because I like to feel alive. And that's one of the ways that I feel alive, is when I put myself in risky positions. People quit their jobs, sell everything they own to start a business they believe in with absolutely zero certainty that it would work. But what they're more afraid of is the regret sitting in their hospice that they didn't try. Because that's the number one regret. That you didn't live the life that you wanted to, that you could have, but you chose to do what everybody said you should do, stay in a state of normalcy, You can produce, you can chase, you can go after your dreams. It's all up to you. It's 100% within your control. Thanks again for joining us this week in Inside My Canoe Head. We've got great stuff over on www.insidemycanoehead.ca. It takes you over to our Buzzsprout site with all of our 350 plus podcast episodes downloaded in 111 countries. If you go to www.preparednesslabs.ca, it's all of our corporate stuff. If you go up and click on catalog, it'll have all of our free offerings. We got a 4-step preparedness. We've got all of the copies of the Journal of Preparedness in Canada. The 4th issue is coming out next month with some really interesting studies that we just completed in the United States of America. And then we've got a bunch of paid products there. Check those out as well. This YouTube channel, everything else remains free. It is our service to you. It is bringing the idea of non-apocalyptic, evidence-based risk, resilience, and preparedness education to the world. And yes, living outside of your comfort zone doesn't require any money. It just requires a belief in yourself. When you believe in yourself, your self-confidence increases. When your self-confidence increases, your self-reliance increases. Your self-sufficiency increases. You become a more resilient individual, and therefore the community around you becomes more resilient. All without spending any money. Just watching us here at Preparedness Labs. Take care. Stay safe.